What's going on, 5-9 Gaming crew? Lethal One up here, and guys, welcome back to another 5-9 Gaming weekly wrap. Now, we just literally came off of E3, so there's not like crazy amounts of news right now for gaming besides that wasn't already covered in E3. So I do have a couple things to share with you guys, but man, E3, I just want to quickly say some of the games that I was excited for. And I know some people have been asking me, yo, Lethal, like who won, Nintendo or was it Xbox? So those are pretty much the two biggest presentations that we got. I can't pick. I legit can't pick. I know I fall more in line with Nintendo than I do Xbox. Only certain games I care about from Xbox. But I could not sit here and say that Xbox did not kill it and not nail E3 this year. I thought they did phenomenal. They dropped a ton of games, is what everybody wanted to see. But the biggest thing was Game Pass. Again, reiterating the fact that Game Pass, a bunch of these games, day and date, Back for Blood, Psychonauts 2. I think they showed off a Stalker 2. I never played the first Stalker, but the trailer that they showed for Stalker 2, that game looked insane. It looked so good. And then they dropped like new games like Redfall, I think was one of them. They announced Outer Worlds 2. They dropped a bunch of Pixel games that looked beautiful. I think it was Replaced was one of them. Looked really cool. And then there was a RPG, like an JRPG looking one. I think it was called Euden Chronicle. They both look beautiful in that Pixel HD 2.5 or whatever it's called. It looks insane. But Nintendo killed it too. Metroid Dread, I'm trying to think of it. Metroid Dread was the one that I care about the most because I've been dying for a Metroid game, and so I'm glad to kind of see them bring back one and a 2D one at that because I wasn't expecting that. I think the next game I expected was it to be like the next Prime 4, right? The next one coming from the other Metroid series. But Dread looks really good. I'm excited to actually play my Switch again because I feel like I haven't had a good reason to hop back into my Switch, I feel like, in quite a while. So that's like the one that I'm really most looking forward to. WarioWare for me was the other big one. I used to play that back on GBA. Obviously, Breath of the Wild 2, we got the announcement. We got some gameplay, right? Some new things. Game looks beautiful, but not this year. 2022, which I'm going to say right now as a little just reminder, I think that means we're definitely not getting the Switch Pro this year. Like if there's any confirmation that I'd ever get, I think we won't see Switch Pro in general next year, because I feel like if there's a game to showcase the power of the Switch Pro, it would be Breath of the Wild 2. That game looks beautiful, and I could just like that would be the way to sell your console. So I'm going to go ahead and say Switch Pro is dropping with Breath of the Wild 2 next year in 2022. I hopefully, Zelda or Breath of the Wild 2 Zelda does come out 2022, because a lot of people are thinking that it might not come out even 2022, and I'm like, nah. They showed some gameplay. It looks beautiful. I'm more than positive it has to be dropping 2022. But besides that, I think they even had like the Mario Party Superstars, which looked really great, breaking in those N64 classic boards. Again, I think they both killed it, and it's so hard for me to pick because I would normally just be like, oh, Nintendo easily, because again, there's only certain games like Halo Infinite. I didn't even think I even said Halo Infinite. They announced so many other games, right? Even coming to Game Pass on the Xbox side. Starfield was the big one I wanted to see, but now that's not going to 2022. And then obviously Halo Infinite and stuff that they dropped with that. So I don't know. I honestly thought Xbox did a great job. So just want to quickly put that out there that I thought both Nintendo and Xbox did equally just as good. I mean, I know some people are going to cater more to Nintendo because they care more about those Nintendo IP and stuff like that. But either way, E3 was awesome this year. I thought a lot of people weren't happy with it overall, but I was like, listen, coming off of a pandemic and everything, I think what we saw was great. A lot of surprises that I was happy to kind of see. Obviously, if we didn't have a pandemic and this is what we got, I think then it could kind of be like, oh, this is really disappointing. But I think that's the kind of mentality that I keep in mind, right? I'm not going to go in there and being like, man, I'm expecting some crazy news, some crazy things. Nah, I think we got just about what we were kind of expecting to see. All right, that out of aside, that was like the whole introduction. Sorry. Let's get into the actual news stories that I have. And again, there wasn't that many. One is like a rumor I think I have. That's not even like a factual thing, but we're going to go ahead and just kind of mention it. The very first one I want to talk about was actually Rare's Everwild is being completely rebooted. This comes from Andy Robinson at VGC. This is a game that I wanted to see Rare showcase in the Xbox event. I was shocked when I didn't see it there, but that's because it's being apparently completely rebooted. Now, here's the information I got for it. No announcement, of course, during the E3 for the Xbox Bethesda showcase. VGC says that they understand that last year's departure of creative director Simon Woodruff, first reported to them, had led to a complete overhaul of the game's design and direction, as well as significant changes to its senior leadership. Everwild's development, the game's design has essentially been restarted from scratch, which means it will take several years before it releases, and which I saw that they were putting out that it has a potential release window, which isn't even like a guaranteed thing, for 2024, which is super far back. Rare's most senior creative employee, designer Greg Mails, has been brought in to lead the reboot, which is pretty cool, right? Get somebody who has a history at Rare, which is really nice. And then it says, as of last year, the game was a third-person adventure with God game elements, that they were told. And then one person said that in particular, and in a mandate from Rare's leadership, that there wasn't going to be any combat in the game. And that essentially led to the block road that they're at right now in terms of design, and the reason why they're still trying to figure out how they want to do this game. And when I thought about that, I was like, ooh, that's an interesting take, because I kind of just assumed that game will have some form of action, right? Some form of combat in the game. But if it doesn't, that's interesting. And then the last bit that I had to add is the development team had put out a quote saying, part of the reason we haven't talked a lot about Everwild is because we're still figuring a lot of things out and we're still playing around with gameplay ideas. So it seems like they don't necessarily have, maybe they start off doing one thing, some type of adventure. It is kind of like a nature-esque looking kind of game. Maybe it was going to be some type of like nature simulator, which I'll be honest, if that would have been the direction of it, I would have been not happy with it, because it looked like it could potentially, when I first saw it, I got some type of like Pokemon kind of vibe to it, right? Because it showed like animal like creatures and stuff like that, and the art style looked really cool, and it gave me that kind of vibe. But, you know, I'm kind of happy in a way that it looks like they're rebooting it, because if it didn't have any combat, I felt like it kind of would have been slacking just a little bit. So I'm kind of glad personally about the decision. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on that. If you guys would have been happy with it not being some kind of, you know, like no action combat-y kind of game, it would just been some type of adventure. Let me know down below. Going into story number 2, everybody's favorite, Cyberpunk is returning to the PlayStation. Now, this comes from Steven Tortolio from Axios, who's kind of confirming this, that he spoke with the CD Projekt Red representative. Essentially, Cyberpunk will be relisted on the PSN store as of June 21st. Now, this comes from a CDPR rep. So, he warns that players will still run into issues with the game and recommends people play it on either a PS4 Pro or a PS5, not even an OG PS4. That's literally it. And I just have to say, I don't even know what that means, because the point is, I think a lot of people still had PlayStation 4s and wanted to play the game, right? It was promised to drop on the PlayStation 4. And I know we've covered this so many times to the point where I don't even want to go into the story any more than that it's just coming back to the PlayStation Store. But the fact that it's like, you know, even Sony is recommending and saying like, hey, PlayStation 4 owners, you know, you might not want to play this game. If you have a PS4 Pro, though, play it on that one or play it on your PS5. That to me is just like, what was the point? Honestly, I don't know. Either way, that's great for PlayStation owners anyways, who do have a PS4 Pro or do have the PS5 that do want to play the game, I guess, through the PlayStation Network store, but they want to purchase it through that way. So there you go. It's finally coming back. Is it too late? I was gonna say, like, is it matter at this point? Is it kind of too late? In my opinion, kind of, yeah. I think already, like, the reputation is kind of cut. And I can see people, like, you know, that didn't own the game looking at this and being like, maybe if it's on sale for like $10, right? Like, I think that's the only way people are going to play this, is if it comes back to PlayStation Store, because there's no mention of a price, but it's got to go be on some type of sale for, I think, anybody to even want to purchase it after the whole fiasco that pretty much happened. But give me your thoughts on that. Let me know. Would you pay full price for that when it drops on the PlayStation Network store? Jumping down to story number 3, the next PlayStation event will be happening soon, according to an insider. This came from Logan Moore at comicbook.com. Now, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys know ahead of time, this is like that more rumor piece one. It's not confirmed, but I know a lot of people have been asking me, because a lot of people are like, yo, Lethal, you're the PlayStation guy, right? Like, you're the simp, the PlayStation simp. Yes, obviously, but I love myself some Xbox and Nintendo. But no, a lot of people have been asking me, yo, like, what's going on? Are we going to be seeing like a PlayStation event? Because where was PlayStation at E3? And again, I kind of covered it before, but PlayStation wasn't going to be at E3 this year, and they hadn't been for some time now. But they're going to probably do their own event, which makes sense. And the whole thing is, according to this article, reputable insider Navtra is saying that PlayStation is soon going to be revealing its plans for a presentation in which it will talk about more upcoming titles heading to its platform, with the rumored release date sometime in July, which kind of makes some sense, because there's some more news that might kind of lead into that just a little bit, that I will try to segue into that right now. But before I do, I did want to kind of bring up a little bit of a concern, right? Like, what will PlayStation have to showcase? Because even I thought about that myself. It is so hard to get any type of leak from PlayStation. I gotta say, they're doing a great job in terms of like leaks not being put out there just yet. But there's always tons of, you know, people giving rumors on top of like a Silent Hill rumor, which is what we're gonna kind of get into just a little bit here. You know, God of War, what's going on with that? But at least they've kind of acknowledged certain things like God of War. We already know God of War it's got delayed, right? It's not coming this year. Hopefully next year, who knows? We already know Horizon Forbidden West is also on track for a proper release sometime this holiday, but that might not happen either, right? So those are already 2 big games that we kind of know about. So the question is, what else? Like, what else can we see? You know, a lot of people are saying, well, we get that Metal Gear Solid remake. You know what? That was the other big rumor, because a lot of people are still trying to tie in like a Kojima game, which at this point now, I might as well go ahead and segue into story number 4. And to also add on to the last story, remember that Sony had more than 25 games in development, with half of them apparently being new IP. Just one more thing to keep that in mind. So I'm assuming they got a lot to show. But going with the whole Kojima thing, story number 4 is Blue Box Game Studios. Are they just Kojima in disguise? So I talked about this when Abandoned got released a while back. So Abandoned is a game that was from this Blue Box Game Studios, super small development. You know, this team is not really have too many notable releases, and they're dropping this game exclusively on the PlayStation 5. And PlayStation 5 gave it its own, PlayStation blog post, really putting some spotlight on this game. But man, oh man, is this the studio just getting like torn apart from fans that are trying to say that that's actually Kojima, putting up a little bit of a front, making this little fake alter account, his fake upcoming game that's actually going to be his next upcoming game for PlayStation. And a lot of people are tying it into a potential Silent Hill. I don't know if it's going to be a reboot, a sequel, who knows, but something with Silent Hill. If not that, people are saying it's gotta be the Metal Gear Solid, but who knows? But I do got some information. Now, this is coming from the Twitter account from the official Blue Box Studio, and they're pretty much saying on June 22nd, Abandoned, which by the way, Abandoned is not the confirmed name of the game. Apparently, Abandoned is just a placeholder kind of name. It'll have an official name very soon. But on June 22nd, Abandoned will have its own PlayStation 5 app, showcasing upcoming title-related trailers and a gameplay reveal demo. And all images are actual in-game sequences that will provide you with a first impression of the game, followed by a gameplay demo apparently scheduled to be released this summer. Now, I know we looked at it. The game looked really cool. It definitely screamed like a Kojima kind of vibe to it. So a lot of people are like, man, like if you can't be any more obvious than that, I mean, come on. They're also promising that here's some facts to look forward to for the game: next-gen graphics, 4K 60, apparently no HUD, manual ammo checking, and you have to take care of your wounds, a realistic cinematic survival, snowflakes of blood. Whatever the hell that means, I have no clue. Some more information is the founder of Blue Box is named Hassan Karaman, and he shares the same initials as Hideo Kojima. The Arabic word Hassan and the Persian word Karaman roughly share the same meaning as the Japanese word Hideo, which roughly means, beautiful, handsome. And then people are also comparing the logos of Blue Box with PlayStation Studios. It's just, I don't know. Here's the thing. This game, it's either going to be a Kojima game, and Kojima's a wizard, and he did it once again where he psyched out the fan base and is surprised is his game, or this development team, this small studio is going to get so much recognition, because they already are getting a bunch of recognition. And don't get me wrong, they've already denied the fact that they have any affiliation with Kojima. I don't think, at this time of me looking into all this, I don't think Kojima has said anything. But I mean, at that point, I feel like once this game starts going trending and everybody's talking about it, if you wanted to shoot it down, if PlayStation wanted to shoot this claim down, they'd have shot it down already. Or they might want the hype for the game, right, to sell the game, which is a good thing too. But at the same time, I think they would have knocked it down just to say like, hey, listen, stop. This isn't a Kojima game. This is a brand new developer, a new party making this brand new game, but they haven't. And I'm convinced that I think this might be Hideo Kojima. And we'll find more information on June 22nd, which you guys know for sure I will talk about on the next weekly wrap. But guys, that's pretty much it. Thank you guys for watching. Again, this is pretty much all the news that I have. Give me your thoughts overall on this week's weekly wrap news. Talk to me about E3. I know we have tons of videos on our channel right now with E3 talk. So just make sure you're commenting, make sure you're letting us know, man, with your thoughts on all these game announcements. That's pretty much it. That's all I got. Thank you guys for watching. Again, I'm Lethal1Up, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Peace.